Alright, welcome back. So in this video I wanted to kind of have a little fun, and we are going to build basically our solar system. And so go ahead and open up a new playground. Let's go ahead and create a name for our new playground. So I'm just going to do solar system. And the platform I'm using is OS 10, so make sure that this is the target platform that you have. If you don't know if you have it, just hit the little up and down arrow here and select it. Go ahead and click Next, and go ahead and create. Save it wherever you save it. I save mine all in one folder, but anyways, okay, so let me go ahead and make this a little bit bigger so that you can see it. Okay, there we go. Alright, so here we have our playground, and what we are actually going to do is we are going to change our libraries here. So we're going to actually import SpriteKit, and we're also going to import XC Playground. And what this will allow us to do is when we'll actually be able to see a preview of what we're building. So in the last two videos we covered classes and as well as inheritance. So that's exactly what I'm going to be covering. But this is going to be more fun because we can actually play around with SpriteKit. We'll be able to play around with working with classes and extending them. So this should be fun, at least in my opinion. Alright, so a little bit of housekeeping. In order to see a preview of what we're building, we need to have some foundational code in order to do so. So just follow along with me. So first what we need to do is we actually need to create the SpriteKit View. This will allow us to actually see what we are viewing and whatnot. So do SpriteKit View. And we're going to actually create a constant, let frame. So we're going to actually create a frame for our view. And this is going to be CGRect. Now you've seen this before in the first part of the class videos. So we are basically just going to create a rectangle. So x and y is going to be 0, and width is going to be 1024, and the height is going to be 584. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a set point or a middle point. This will help us set where in this rectangle or this view is the center of it. So we do let midpoint equal CG point, do X. So how we're going to calculate this, we're not going to do any math. We're going to pull in frame here, and frame comes with different properties in order to use, and the one we're going to use is actually size. And then we have an option with size of width and height. If you see up here, we actually set it. So we're just going to do width for X and frame size height for the Y. And this will actually do the calculation for us. If we look here, this is our X and our Y. But the thing is it's not accurate. We actually need to divide it by 2 for both to get the middle. Set some spaces in there so it looks nice and pretty. Alright, so X, so this is the coordinate of the point that's in the middle, direct middle of our rectangle frame. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually set the scene. So this is where we will be able to see what we actually build. So we'll do set the scene, and this is going to be a variable called scene, why not? And we're gonna actually bring in a new, what do you call this, type, which is SKScene. We're actually going to bring in size. We're going to tell what the scene size is going to be, and that scene size is going to be our frame size. So we don't actually have to do anything. And if you want to know more about XKScene, this is actually a class. Just click on it and you see it's class SKScene. It is a subclass of SKEffects node. You could definitely click on that to find out what that is. But SKScene object represents a scene of content in SpriteKit. A scene is a root node in the tree of SpriteKit nodes. And so again, if you want to read more about it, definitely scroll down and hit SKScene class reference and you get everything you wanted to know about SKScene. So just know that it is a class of SpriteKit. It's a SpriteKit node. We'll run into SK node and SpriteKit nodes and stuff as we go. But yeah, we have information about subclassing and how to initialize and all that jazz. Alright, so I'm going to actually minimize that. So we've got our scene. So we've set our frame, we've found out what our middle point is, and we've set our scene. So the next thing we need to do is we need to actually create some space here. We need to show the scene, because right now we just have information about it, but we don't see anything. So we gotta show the scene, and how we do that is we create another constant called letView. We equal that to skView. And again, this is another class. And I'm just gonna set it. skView has two different methods here. The one we want is frame, and it's requesting an NSRect. Well, we have a rect, we have a CG rect, so we'll just use frame here. Alright, so now we can show the scene, and then we have to present it. So we're going to present scene, and it's going to be view, present scene. So see, we have present scene, transition. We actually just want this one below. And we're going to actually type in scene, which is this here that we're going to present. Now in order to see this, because right now you can't, we have to tell Playground to allow us to view, have a live view of this information, and how we do that is we can actually have it, we can show it in our assistant editor up here. So let's go ahead and set that up. So just show this in the assistant editor. And we do XC Playground. We have some options here. We're going to do Playground page. We're going to do dot current page dot live view, and then we got to tell it what its live view is going to be. And our live view is going to be actually our scene where we show it. So we have it equal to view. Okay, so when we hit our preview, we have this wonderful box. Pretty nifty, huh? I know it isn't much because we haven't put anything in there, but this is where we're going to actually put our solar system. So I'm going to put the sun in the middle. That's why I created the midpoint. And then our planets are going to have an orbit around the sun. Okay? So I'm actually going to hide this for a moment. So we've got this figured out. Now, thing is sometimes as we're typing in here, the compiler likes to compile and show the scene at the same time as we're typing. That kind of slows things down. Not too much, but it annoys me. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to comment out this last row, well, where we're showing the live view, and that's basically command backslash or the question mark key, just temporarily. Okay, so what we're going to do in order to add our sun and whatnot is we're going to actually create a class. And if you remember from our last video where we created classes, I'm going to create some space here. I talked about basically creating a subclass. So that's kind of what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to create a subclass, and it's going to basically create a celestial body. This class is going to be shared with the planets and the sun. Now the planets can have, you can create a subclass off of this class for the planets. Totally doable, and I've set it up where you can have free reign and do whatever you want. But I'm actually going to do a subclass. And as you see, Swift is pretty smart and intelligent to realize that, hey, you've actually brought in SpriteKit, so you might just want to do a subclass. And that's exactly what I want to do. I actually want to create a celestial body. I'm just going to name this class body. And its superclass is going to be SK Sprite Node. Now, if you want to know more information about Sprite Node, because I know in my last video I didn't like shape node, but Sprite Node, it's basically a node that draws a textured image, or a colored square, or a textured image blended with color. You can provide different custom information to it or whatnot. So the reason why I'm doing this is because it is a class that is brought in by the SpriteKit, and I do want to be a node because we are going to add a textured image, but first off we're just going to create a square just to get the behavior that we want and not to get too far ahead. So I'm going to go ahead and have Sprite Node, SK Sprite Node, as the superclass. And then that will provide us with a lot of functionality, methods, and properties. And if you want to see those, hold down your command key and click, as you're holding down the command key, click on SK Sprite Node. And here is all the information you ever wanted to know about SK Sprite Node. So you see SK Sprite Node is a subclass of SK Node. If you want to know more about SK Node, do the same thing, command click. Basically, we have all these different properties available to us, tons of properties, but I just wanted to show you that, yes, it is a class. And so let's go ahead and swipe back to our page, our code. All right, so now SpriteKit Node has a lot of methods and properties that are available to us. But what I want to do is I actually want to spawn a planet. So actually what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to comment this out because I kind of want to show you how to do this the hard way of doing this, or the not fancy way of doing this. Because I kind of want to show how important using classes are. So let's hold off on creating the body class because I am, let's see, I'll just say the hard way. Alright, so let's create a sprite. So that's one of the things we have to do is, one, we have to create a sprite. Then we have to set the position of the sprite, and then we need to have the sprite do some sort of action. And it doesn't necessarily have to do an action, but it has to have that capability of doing said action if we need it to. Okay? So these are the three things that we need to do. Alright, so first, let's do it the hard way. And so let's go ahead and create, let's see, let's just do sun or let's just do, say, a sun sprite. So I want to keep it a little different because I want to use that variable later. And what we need to do is we actually need this to be an SKSprite node. And then we have that equal to SKSprite node. And we have to set the sprite node. So what we need is color and size. So let's go ahead and, oh, there it is, our color and size. So I'm just going to do this SC color, and I'm just going to do some really annoying color just to get this up and running so you can see it. And then we need to create a size. We need to tell it what size it should be. So we're going to do CG size make. And we'll do the width and the height. Okay, so we've created a sprite. The second thing we need to do is we need to set the sprite's location. So we do let the sprite position or location, and we need that to be equal to CG point, and or actually, instead of doing CG point, what we can do is we can just use our midpoint that we've created because it takes a CG point. So midpoint is a CG point, so we'll just copy that over. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to have the sprite do some type of action. So let's go ahead and do a sun sprite, and then we'll do if we scroll down, actually scroll up, we should come to a method. There we go, that does a run action. And that's what we want. We want a run action. So just a simple one. And then here we want it to do some action. So it takes SK action. So we do SK action. And it's an object, is an action, it's executed by a node in a scene, and it is a class. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to say what type of action we want it to do. Now, in this case, I want it to repeat an action forever. So we can do repeat an action forever, blah, blah, blah. Now, repeat action if it, you just wanted to do one type of action or a set of actions and you just want it to end. But for me, I want it to do forever so that you can see the action as it happens. And again, this takes another SK action, so I'm going to type that in. And here we can have different things. So actually what I want to do is I actually want it to rotate by angle, and I want it for a time duration, so the very first one. So you just choose an angle, and this is in radians, okay, so I'm just going to do 6, and the duration is going to be 3. And we'll tab through or arrow through the things. And then the next thing we need to do is we actually need, if we uncomment our last line down here, let me add some more space so we can see it clearly. So uncomment this last line if you did comment it. If you didn't, that's fine. Let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so our sprite hasn't appeared. Now why is that? Well, what we actually need to do as well is we need to add the sprite to the scene. So that's the next thing we need to do. And how do we do that? Well, we actually do, let's see, if I remember correctly, it's scene dot add child, and we add the a sun sprite. I think, yep, there we go. Okay, so it's down here in this corner, but that's not right. That's not where I want it. So why is it there? Oh, okay, the reason why is I forgot to tell it where its position is. So we do a sun sprite dot position. Sometimes you forget these kind of things. And then we can do midpoint, and that will move it to the middle of the page. There we go. See, sometimes you just mess simple things up. So I'm actually going to delete this. Now, actually, what you can do is you can easily just change this to the position that you want it to be, and you see it jumped from the middle to, this would be 200 and 200. This is 0. So that's why the sprite was there in the corner, because it was set to 0, 0. So that's the default location for any sprite, is at point 0, 0. Okay. So I'll just go ahead and leave it there. So there we have a sprite that's in the shape of a square, that's purple, that's rotating at an angle forever. And if you just let this go, this will run forever. Alright, so now if we wanted to add another sprite, we would have to repeat all of this code again. All of it again. Now, I don't know about you, but that's just way too much freaking work. So that's where classes come in. Okay, so I'm actually going to comment this out, but you can delete it or you can keep it as a reference. But basically what you will have to do is you'll have to literally copy and paste this again for another sprite. So say if I want to do a red color, and I do, say, red sprite, and just do sprite red position. And let's make this midpoint so we can see it. And then we will copy red sprite here, and here, and here, so we can add it to the scene. And there we go, we have 2 sprites, but we had to friggin' repeat all that code again. So you see how inefficient this is? Just repeat things over and over again. So that's not the best way to do it. So taking this into account, let's see if we can shorten this up a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to comment our live view so that it doesn't keep running in the background. And let's see if we can make the hard way easier. So again, let's go back to class. Now what these 2 sprites have in common is, one, they both have sprite nodes, so we'll make that the superclass. And then what we'll do is we'll create some methods in here that will do some of the work for us. So the first thing we need is, one, we need a spawn, because that's like a lot of intensive work spawning these. So here we have this case sprite node where we're actually creating the size, we're actually setting the position, and we're adding it to the scene. So those are 3 things that we can easily encapsulate in a method. So our first method is going to be creating and adding sprite to scene. And how do we do that? Well, let's create a method. So we just do function, and we'll call it spawn, just to make it easy. And we're actually going to create some variables in here. Or actually we're going to pull in some information that we need, because every sprite that we add is going to be a little different. So we need to ask information from the user or from the program or the programmer what and how it should spawn these sprites. So a couple things we need to know is, one, the parent node. And the parent node is here. So scene is actually the parent, and when we add the child to the scene, that means that the scene is a parent node. So we need to tell it what the parent node is. And then that's going to be SK node. And again, if you have any questions about how I got the SK node, well, if you hold down the Option key until your cursor turns into plus, hover over the scene, click on it, we can see that scene is SK scene. And if we click on SK scene, what we will find out is SK scene is a SK node. So it inherits everything from SK node. So anything that is or is a subclass of SK node can be put in here as a node or a parent node. And that's actually important when I add planets, and you'll see what I mean. Okay, the next thing we need is position, because we gotta tell it, hey, everything has a position. And if you remember, for position, we constantly use CG point, so that is going to be our type. The next thing we need is the size. So for both of these, the size is a CG size. So we're going to do CG size. I know it says CG make in here, but if you remember, CG size is what appeared here, and I just used this to actually make a size, just a little bit easier. Okay, so and what we can do to make it easier on ourselves is we can actually set CG size to a default. So let's go ahead and do that. So just in case we forget to add CG size, we can always fall back on the default. So let's just make that 100, 100, and then our curly brackets to close everything up. All right, so let's go ahead and set this information. So for the parent node is going to be add child, and the child node is going to be self. So it's going to be an instance, and it's going to add itself as a parent node, or to the parent node. The next thing we need to do is to set the size. So the self is going to be size equals size, and we'll set the position. Self dot position, position. Okay, so there we go. We have very limited setting for our spawn, but let's go ahead and test it out. Okay, so we're going to do let's do yellow sprite equal to body. And sure enough, it's asking us for the color and the size. Let's go ahead and do the spawn just to make it easier. So do yellow.sprite, do spawn, and this will give us the parent node. So the parent node is, oh, I forgot to do color. Oh, I forgot something. Alright, before we do that, let's go up here and add color, because I forgot to add it. So you want to see it, right? Do NS color, CG color. I think it's CG color. No, let's do NS color. Alrighty, let's go ahead and spawn this sprite. So do yellow sprite dot spawn. And there we go, you have our color at the end. So the parent node is going to be the scene. The position, I'm going to set it midpoint, just because this could be easier. And then the color, I want to be in this color, do yellow color. Alright, so we should see this new sprite. So let's go ahead and uncomment that. Do a preview. Oh, it's not there. What did we miss? Oh, that's what I forgot to do. Okay. I have to do self.color. That would be helpful, wouldn't it? Okay, there we go. There is our yellow sprite. That's color yellow. Alright, so we got that part to work, but now we want we want the rotation. So let's go ahead and work on that. So in order to that, we need this run action and rotate and all that jazz. So let's go ahead and create another method here. Let's do add animation, and I'm going to create another method. It's going to be rotate. Oops, that's not what I want. Rotate animation. And this is actually going to take in some parameters as well. So if we look up here, we know that we need the angle and we need the duration. So let's go ahead and make those the parameters that we're going to request to be brought in. So we're going to do angle, and this is going to be CG float. And then the duration is, if we look at SK action, let's hold down the Option key, scroll over, rotate by angle, we can actually get the information for this function. And we see that rotate by angle, the radians is always a CG float. That's where I got CG float from. And the duration in seconds is NS time interval. So we're actually going to bring that in as the type for our duration. So NS time interval. Okay, so we've got that set. The next thing we need to do is we need to create this action. So we're going to do self. We do run action, and then we're going to create our action. So SK action, do repeat action forever, SK action dot rotate by angle, and now we're going to say, okay, bring in the parameter names when they come in to set the angle as well as the duration. And we can definitely change the name of these if you want. Actually, yeah, I mean, we could totally change that if we want, but it just makes sense because it's like, okay, angle goes to angle, duration goes to duration. So, you know, do whatever, you know, makes you happy. If it makes sense to you, do it my way. If you want to do it another way, definitely do it another way. There's no right or wrong, just what makes sense to you. Okay, so let's try this out. So let's do yellow sprite, do rotate animation, and let's go ahead and set the angle to 3 and the duration to 4, and let's see what happens. And there we go. Our wonderful little sprite is rotating. All right, that's awesome. Okay, so again, I kind of wanted to show you the hard way so that you can see, okay, this is what I need to repeat over and over and over again. So instead of repeating it, I can just consolidate it down to a class. And all I have to do is create sprites until I turn blue in the face. All right. So there we go. So we created the bare minimum for the body sprite. So let's go ahead and continue on. So I'm actually going to go ahead and comment all this out. So I'm going to do command / or the question mark key. And I'm actually going to copy this. I'm going to delete it, but I'm going to bring it down here so that we can reorganize our info. So I'll copy that so I can see all the things that we are doing. We create the sprite, and set the position of the sprite, and actually this color one should probably go up here with creating the sprite. Okay, so now it's all nice and orderly. And then we have, of course, having the sprite do some action. And I'll go ahead and delete all this. And the action here is this. Okay, so there we go. We have our wonderful body. It's all nice and organized and makes sense. We have our comments. So let's go ahead and create some planets to go around our sun. So now we have our yellow sprite, which is our sun. And then yes, it should be rotating. So we'll go ahead and leave it like that. So the next thing, actually let's go ahead and rename the yellow sprite to sun. Because we want to show that this is actually a sun here, not just some yellow sprite. I actually want to give it a name. Okay, so now we have our sun moving around. The next thing that we want to do is we actually want to create some planets, right? I mean, it would make sense to have some planets rotating around the sun. So go ahead and create the first planet. Let's do planets. And let's do Mercury. So let Mercury equal body, because it is a body. Now Mercury should have, you know, some different, might have some different methods, might have some different properties. I don't know, but right now I'm just going to use body in this case. And let's go ahead and spawn Mercury. So I'm going to do Mercury spawn. Now parent node, we do want to add it to the scene, but the thing is with Mercury, its parent is the sun, right? So we want the planet to be a child of the sun node. So if we type in sun, that will allow Mercury to spawn and be attached to whatever the sun sprite is doing. And its position, I'm actually going to set it to be something a little different. So it could be somewhat spaced away from the sun. So I'm going to do X. I'm going to do frame size width divided by 8. So let's give it some space. Now I kind of just eyeballed this. I didn't really do much math in order to get this to work. So just bear with me. And in this color, I want to make it a red color because it's so close to the sun, why wouldn't it be red? And there you go. We have Mercury orbiting the sun. I know it doesn't really look like much, but it is. But you know, there's something wrong with Mercury. You know, it's like it's only showing one side to the sun. Shouldn't it be rotating? Yes, it should. So let's go ahead and give Mercury some action. So we do Mercury, we'll do rotate animation, and let's have it do 4, duration 3. Why not change it up a little bit? Let's see what happens. Now there we go. I think Mercury should be spinning that much. I don't know. What do you think? You could be all technical with it and determine the rotation of Mercury in relation to Earth. And do some math if you want to. That's totally cool. But I just kind of wanted to get the basics. So I just wanted to get the behavior down. Now, Mercury is actually quite huge. Compare, like it's the same size as the flippin' sun. So let's go ahead and adjust the size of Mercury. Now let's look and let's see. We're gonna insert size just before color. So let's go ahead and do that. Got position, sun. Do size. Now if you remember, size, we set it to be some default, right? So we can definitely update the size as we see fit. So let's do SG size. And we'll do width and height. Let's cut it down by half. Let's see if it's more realistic. Oh, I got an error here. Argument position, something or another. So argument position must precede argument size. So let's go ahead and copy this and move it around. Just put size right there. Do that. Now it should work. Nope, still got an issue with it. Why do you have an issue with it? Cannot invoke initializer for type CG point with argument list of type CG float CG size. Oh, make size. Let's try that. That should work now. Oops, doesn't like it. It's saying I should fix it. I'll say, okay, yeah, fix it. Because obviously I'm too tired to figure out what's wrong. Okay, I forgot a parentheses. And close this off too soon. And something else. Must precede color. So color must precede size. So see, I mean, there's times where you just can't seem to get things right away. So hey, this is a learning experience for you too, realizing what it wants. All right, now will it work? Okay, now it should work. Let's check it out. Oh my gosh, look at Mercury. It's so much tinier than the sun, as it should be. Definitely make it smaller than that. Let's do, I don't know, 30, why not? I think it should still be smaller. There we go. Yeah, because it is kind of a smaller planet. Alright, so we have Mercury there. Now, I mean, this is great and wonderful. But the thing is maybe we should add maybe one more planet. So let's go ahead and add Venus. We'll have an equal body. And with Venus, we are actually going to add a moon, because I believe that Venus has a moon. If it doesn't, oh well. You can definitely do this to another planet. So like say if you add Earth, add a moon to it. Let's see if you can figure out how to add a moon to it. But I think it's important to maybe add just one more planet. So we do Venus, spawn. Now again, the parent node is the sun, so we want it to orbit the sun. Do CG point. Do x 200, y negative 200. Let's just give it some space, and its color. Do its color, and we'll have the color be, I don't know. It's a good color for Venus. Let's do orange. Okay, so now we have Venus, a different location, still orbiting the sun. And maybe we should update the size too. So again, make sure you put size in the right order, otherwise it will flip out on you. Do CG size. Do width and height. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. So let's do 50 and 50, because I think Venus is a tad bit bigger than Mercury. And we have an arrow. Color must precede size. So again, I didn't do this right. Again, that's fine. We'll get it right. Okay, there we go. Now Venus is a little bit smaller than the sun, which is perfect, and it is orbiting. But again, Venus isn't rotating, so let's go ahead and give Venus some rotation, because what is a planet without some rotation? Alright, so the angle, let's do 1.2, and duration, we'll do 2. And let's see, there we go. We have Venus rotating by itself, we have Mercury rotating, we have the Sun rotating. Okay, so we got some nice behavior that we are definitely searching for, but you know what? This is still not so awesome. So, if you want to add a little pizzazz to this, which I highly recommend you do, in my GitHub account, I will have a repository for this particular video where you can download some images that you can use. Make sure they have, well, I mean, you can definitely find them online. I found these online, just a random Google search, and I just copied and pasted. So I don't own them, but I just wanted to, you know, give you something to work with. Or you can find other ones. Basically, all you do to add assets for this is you just drag over your image and pop it in here. If you look down the resources, so what I did is I opened up the navigator. So open up navigator, and then just drag your images over like so that you can use them. Okay, so now we have our resources open. And let's modify or refactor our work here so that we can add texture. And I don't know if you remembered, but if you click on SK Sprite, we look at the documentation, it allows us to draw a textured image. This Sprite, SK Sprite now allows us to draw a textured image, so we can definitely do that. So let's add another parameter to this. So right after parent node, let's insert a texture. So we'll do texture, and the texture will be actually SK texture. If you're wondering where I got that, all we have to do is look at the Sprite node and do a command find. We can do texture and look for every instance of it. But what it should allow us to do is to realize that we can actually use a texture in here. And when it pulls in a texture, it always pulls in SK texture, no matter what. So that's kind of how I know. All right, so we're going to pull in XK texture, and then here we're going to actually add a texture. So let's go ahead and insert this above the size and do self.texture equals texture. Alright, so now that it's in there, we have to update our spawn, because we have to tell it, okay, now that we've added texture, we need to let it know what the texture is. Now, since I don't have one for Venus, I'm actually going to comment out Venus. But let's go ahead and add the texture for the sun. So we do texture, and we will go ahead and do comma here. Alright, so for texture, what we need to do is we need to tell it where this texture is coming from. So we do SK texture. I'm going to call this class, and from this class we're going to pull in the texture. So what we're going to say is, okay, we need to pull in a texture that's an image named something. And because our image is a string, or the image name is a string, we're going to use this here. And we'll go ahead and pull in our image name. And for the sun, the image name is sun.-hd.png. And we're going to do the same thing here for Mercury. So I'm going to add a comma, type in texture, and do sk texture, and do image name, and the image name for Mercury is Mercury. So Mercury PNG. Set a space there. There shouldn't be any errors. Alright, so now if we look at our images, or our preview, I should say, again, uncommented out. And there we go, we have Sun and Mercury spinning around. It's pretty nifty, isn't it? I think so. Alright, so go ahead and add some more planets and see if you know how to add a moon. It's actually kind of fun. So there you go. Hopefully you found this video entertaining. If it's helped you at all, you know, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And again, subscribe if you want to, you know, get a heads up on when I upload videos. Till next time, my friends, code on.